New discoveries and scientific advancements are always being made, and often that means looking into the past, not staring into the future. With the constant development of equipment and modern analysis techniques, we're able to delve deeper into the past than ever before. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 relatively recent archaeological discoveries. Medieval skeleton entangled in tree roots in Ireland. In May of 2015, strong storms in Ireland caused a long-standing beech tree to overturn, falling over and revealing a skeleton in the midst of tangled roots. Upon further inspection, it became apparent that the skeleton was that of a medieval boy, estimated to be between 17 and 20 years old upon passing. The tree, which was planted in Collooney, was estimated to be a 215-year-old Georgian tree, having grown around the remains of a young man believed to have passed away in the medieval period. The entirety of the skeleton had been buried, intertwined with the roots of the beech tree, underground, though the roots were so dense that when the tree toppled, only the upper body of the skeleton was lifted from the ground, still enclosed in the roots. The initial research conducted on the remains was carried out by Sligo Leitrim Archaeological Services, also known as SLAS. The research was being led by Linda Lynch. It was this team who initially placed the age of the skeleton to be just 17 to 29 years old. This was a relatively early age even when considering the lowered medieval life expectancy, which was in the mid-40s, if the individual survived infancy and childhood. Lynch, the leading researcher of SLAS and her team, found a substantial number of injuries to the skeleton, primarily focused on the ribs and the hand. It's assumed these were acquired in some sort of knife conflict, and this violent act was what caused this man to pass away. Further research employed the use of carbon dating methods. This involves assessing the carbon-14 content within the bones. Carbon-14, also referred to as radiocarbon, is a natural isotope that can be detected due to its radioactivity, hence the alternate name radiocarbon. The conclusion pulled for the measurement of the carbon-14 isotope was that the loss of life of the boy could be traced back to 1030 to 1230 AD period, which is in the medieval era. Since the skeleton, most notably the upper body, had been so heavily entangled in the tree roots, the movement and activity of these roots had caused damage to the bones. While no further skeletons have yet been unearthed in the surrounding area, it's believed, at least by Marion Dowd, the director of SLAS, that there is more to the story we've not yet uncovered. 19th century records suggest a church and graveyard are within close proximity to where the skeleton was uncovered. The young boy had received a formal Christian burial, in keeping with the idea that a church graveyard was once a nearby site. The remains had further analysis and investigations conducted, before being relocated to the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin. This is standard protocol outlined in archaeological legislation. The interaction between humans and nature is a baffling one, especially when events like this show the strange stories that can arise as a result. Neanderthal glue. The discovery of a substance likened to glue on stone tools from 50,000 years ago has been said to indicate a higher level of thinking from Neanderthals than we previously assumed they'd been capable of. This substance has been compared to glue, as scientists assume it served a similar function. The Neanderthal glue was made from birch tar and required a series of steps that we had initially deemed too complex for this primitive species to master. This difficult sequence suggests a higher cognitive ability, adding more evidence to the idea that Neanderthals were more than the underdeveloped cavemen our stereotypes often lead us to imagine. So far, only a select few Neanderthal tools have traces of this birch tar glue on them. Despite this, there have been suggestions from experts that this method could have been relatively mainstream throughout these societies. The stone tool that sparked these discussions once again was found in the North Sea, where it's believed to have been laid for 50,000 years. Finding this tool in the North Sea is not as strange as it may first appear. The group was believed to have lived in the area there at that time, and was part of Doggerland, though this area is now submerged within the North Sea. Some have even suggested that icy temperatures underwater is what aided in the preservation of the glue. We yet to find Neanderthal glue in any other conditions. The icy conditions of Doggerland invites more questions than answers. With such sparse woodland, the creation of glue from birch trees required extensive forethought. Dr. Nyquist, co-author of the Stitching Stone Foundation for Stone Age Research, estimated that a minimum of 40 kilograms of wood was needed to carry out this process. He goes on to elaborate that the steppe tundra conditions they lived in saw only dwarf birch trees growing, as opposed to the birch trees we might be familiar with. The building of fires and physically completing the motion of extracting the tar is once again another process we hadn't previously associated with the Neanderthals. Some think this tar was largely used to attach tool heads to handles, acting truly as a glue. Others suggest that in cases such as this particular tool that was discovered, the tar itself formed a grip, which allowed for more pressure without injuring the user's hands. This means that a simple stone flake can cut plant fibres, scrape animal skins, and act generally as a tool for precision. Dr. Nyquist explains that this particular tool in question didn't have any indentation from a wood or bone handle within the tar, hence the conclusion that the tar may act as a grip hold. The complexity of the tar substance being used to form a simple grip on a basic tool was surprising to many archaeologists. Such a difficult procedure was assumed to be reserved only for special hunting tools, not just any tool used in day-to-day events. This has led many to assume the creation of this glue was widespread and a readily available process. A similar discovery has been made in Italy, with pine tree resin being used to serve a similar function. Many researchers think that birch was considered the first choice due to the material being more pliable. This is the earliest adhesive we're yet to see be created. However, that doesn't mean that equal advanced techniques were not used by earlier societies. There's always the possibility that we're yet to stumble across a new discovery. Neanderthals commonly suffered from swimmer's ear. Research in 2019 by Eric Trinkhaus, employed by Washington University, suggests that it was more common than expected for Neanderthals to have abnormal bone growth within their ear canals. When we see this bone growth today, we diagnose people with swimmer's ear. These odd pieces of bone are officially referred to as external auditory exostosis. They're dense pieces of bone that grow in the ear canal. The condition is thought to be triggered by a repeated or consistent exposure to frigid temperatures, such as icy water and cold air. Whilst this may be the leading assumption, other components, such as genetics, are thought to play a key role. Trinkhaus and his team conducted a study upon 77 well-preserved ancient humans' ear canals. These ancient humans span Neanderthals to humans from the early modern period to the middle to late Pleistocene epoch of the Western Eurasia. The study found that the number of early modern humans in the sample with swimmer's ear matched the number of modern humans with this condition. The remains of the Neanderthal, on the other hand, saw approximately 50% of the individuals being afflicted. This was twice as high as other groups studied. After having seen this alarming difference, Trinkhaus aimed to find an explanation for this significant difference. Whilst there's been no conclusive answer, many factors have been considered for this. The Neanderthals were believed to have spent a much larger amount of time gathering resources from and nearby large bodies of water, fitting in with the already established idea that swimmers' ears are impacted by the time spent in cold water. However, the spread of geographic location of these Neanderthals and the differing position of the abnormal bone growth suggest there may not be a distinct difference dependent on how close they lived to water or cold climates. Neanderthals living in different areas were impacted differently. This has led many researchers to place more weight on the theory of a genetic component, as this is one underlying factor. Trinkhaus himself added that the high number of cases of swimmer's ears in Neanderthals compared to other humans suggested that the Neanderthal population required on aquatic resources more than current archaeological research implies. He follows this up by saying that his research, at a minimum, serves as a reminder as to the wide and varied resource and foraging skills the Neanderthals possessed. Our understanding of the world is ever-changing. We have to let it be shaped by more and more discoveries. As we uncover and unravel the truth of our ancestors and our evolutionary neighbours who came before us. So what do you make of these archaeological discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community, whilst working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.